Hello and welcome to Ancient Myths of the Current Era, a series where I dive deep into the mythology behind one of the greatest MOBAs of all time, known as Smite. This series will hopefully give you a better idea of who's who in the wide selection of gods and goddesses available in the world of Smite. In today's video, we are going to talk about Zeus. So let's get started.
Easy go.
As you can tell by the intro to this video, this episode is going to be on Zeus. Zeus is the Greek god of the sky, and because of this, is often portrayed with a lightning bolt in his hand. He is the king of all gods and rules from the top of Mount Olympus. He's married to Hera, the goddess of marriage, which is a little funny when you think about it, because Zeus cheats on her all the time. Also, Hera is Zeus's sister, so that's a little bit weird, because society has deemed incest weird. Zeus also has many children, many of which are with other women. Maybe that's one reason why Hera doesn't like to be married to Zeus. One of the most well-known stories about Zeus begins with the Titans. His father, Kronos or Cronus, a Titan, had ate his brother and sisters Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter. He did this to ensure he would not be overthrown, like Kronos had done to his very own father. Rhea, the mother of the gods, didn't want this to happen to her next child, so she gave birth to him secretly in Crete and fed Kronos a rock. Zeus remained hidden and was raised by his grandmother Gaia. When Zeus was fully grown, he devised a plan to take down his father. Zeus secretly slipped a substance into his father's food, which caused him to regurgitate all his brothers and sisters, and the rock. A war started among the gods and the Titans, and the gods came out on top, and so they imprisoned many of the Titans to Tartarus for eternity. The big three being Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon all drew lots to choose which realm each got rule over. Zeus received the sky, Poseidon received the sea, and Hades, who drew the shortest lot, got the underworld. Zeus is known to get vengeance and punish those severely for wrongdoings, as shown when he imprisoned the Titans. But for some of the Titans, his punishment was even harsher. One example that shows this is when Prometheus gave fire to mortals, because the gods wanted to be worshipped and be almighty and powerful over the humans. So when Prometheus gave them fire, it put them closer to the gods. So Zeus decreed that every day his liver would be eaten out by vultures as he was chained to a rock. One more example is Atlas, who was greatly punished by being forced to hold up the sky for eternity. While Zeus is depicted as being vengeful, he is also depicted as being compassionate. In the story of the birth of Apollo and Artemis, Zeus impregnated Leto. When his wife found out, she was very jealous and vengeful, and wished to prevent her husband's infidelity from seeing the light of day. Hera banned Leto from giving birth on terra firma, or solid earth. Leto searched for a very long while, whilst carrying the children of Zeus inside of her. She eventually came across the floating island of Delos. Since it was a floating island, Leto was allowed to give birth there, because it was not firmly connected to the earth. However, even though she was following the rules, Zeus's wife, Hera, was still not going to allow her husband's children to be born. In response to Leto finding a birthplace, she kidnapped Eileithyia, the goddess of childbirth, to prevent Leto from going into labor. After finding out about this, Zeus rallied the other gods in order to trick Hera into releasing Eileithyia. They all tricked Hera using a 9-yard amber necklace. This allowed Leto to give birth because Eileithyia was now released. Leto gave birth to the twins, Artemis and Apollo. In one final moment of compassion, Zeus recognized Leto's suffering because of his actions, and secured the floating island Delos, where their children were born, to the bottom of the sea. On top of this, he declared that Delos was to be the sacred place of Leto's son, Apollo, correcting his wrong. In another version, Zeus is still depicted as compassionate. In fact, it could be argued that this was more compassionate than the previous one. This is because when Hera found out about Zeus's infidelity, he turned Leto into a quail in order to protect her from Hera's wrath. Not only did it protect Leto from Hera's wrath, but it also made the pains of childbirth less, because of the egg-laying process was less painful than that of giving live birth. So say what you will about Zeus being a vengeful, unfaithful sleaze, but he at least can admit his flaws, and he does his best to fix the issues he causes, which is more than most humans can say about themselves, because us humans are so very perfect. While Zeus was unfaithful much of the time, he was still faithful to his wife as well. Due to these rare moments of faith, they had a few children. Together they had Ares, the god of war, Hebe, the goddess of eternal youth, and Hephaestus, the god of fire and blacksmithing. They also bore the children Eileithyia, the goddess of childbirth, Eris, the goddess of chaos, Enyo, the goddess of war and consort to Ares, and Angelos, a chthonic deity, or a deity of the underworld. So yes, Zeus was a sleaze, but at least he tried to stay faithful.